Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 164 of Nerd Generations. As always, I am one of your very toasted, illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the always lovely Al Jetsamello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
And when I say toasted, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, I was out in the sun and I am fried.
Not in a fun way.
No.
Not in an enjoyable way.
No.
In a last time you could hear the rain. It was raining so hard you could hear it on the recording.
Yes.
This time, it's so fucking hot.
Which, luckily, it's that way for everybody.
Yeah,
so
it's going to melt something, even in here where there's AC. We're in the cave. It's nice. It's climate controlled.
It's wonderful in
but,
here.
oh boy, it's hot out there.
Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely miserable. But anyways, folks, Nerd Generations, episode 164. That means there are 163 previous episodes of pure gold. So go to nerdpodgen.com. You can see links to all of the audio podcasts, websites, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatnot. We also have YouTube where you can go and you can see clips from our podcast, which are quite awesome. Al has been uploading not only recent shows, but past shows and little snippets that are for your listening pleasure. Mm-hmm. And, go to our website because there's also little things about us individually. You get to see pictures of our beautiful faces and whatnot.
Yeah. If you
and
want
I keep saying
to.
whatnot. I know that's now a thing with a lot of YouTubers. We are not on whatnot selling
Is
anything.
that a thing?
It is it's like eBay if it was live. They're live auctions.
Oh.
And it's big in like the nerd world because people will sell like video games and stuff on it.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not whatnot.
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
No, we're not selling anything like that.
We got to make the merch before we sell the merch.
Yeah. So how you been, man?
Life's life. It's been busy.
Yeah.
We drove across state both yesterday and Thursday.
For what?
We went to see my father-in-law for his birthday.
Oh, very nice.
He turned 65, and so we went to see Dave for his birthday.
Well, that's very nice.
Which was very nice. I got to hear all about the Saratoga Mob from Kelly's grandfather.
That's always good.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a nice little time.
I like mob stories. I heard them all growing up.
Yeah. It was one of those interesting stories where you get halfway through. Her grandfather was telling it like, oh, this guy was both really nice and also very bad.
Yeah.
Very not good guy. But like if you lived in his house and you couldn't make rent, as long as you told him that you couldn't make rent, he'd let you live there. But if you didn't tell him, then you're going to have problems.
There are a lot of people
really
that thought
big
Al
problems.
Capone was a nice guy.
Yeah.
We all know the truth on that.
Yeah.
But anyways, folks, we do like to start each episode with what have you been watching, playing, reading. Would you like to start today, sir?
I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Sure, I'll kick it off. So I want to cap a well.
Okay.
I finished Attack on Titan.
Which I have started.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I do like it. I have to admit that part with the mother dying was very stressful.
It's tough.
Very tough.
That's the entire show is like that.
So I think I'm 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
I am enjoying it. I haven't had as much time as I'd have liked to have watched more.
Yeah.
But I am getting into it.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
Yeah.
Having finished it now, it is easily the best anti-war piece I've ever seen.
And there's 6 seasons, right?
There's 6 seasons.
Okay.
6 seasons? 4 seasons.
Four
seasons. But like the way that they're broken out, it's kind of like half seasons. So
Gotcha.
It shows up as, I want to say, like, it shows up as 3 seasons, but they're broken out weirdly.
Gotcha.
So, or something. It's anime. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I absolutely loved it. I finished it. It's really just, it's one of those shows that's just sad, but at the same time, extremely human. And it's just like this story of desperation, being trapped, being abused by generations of harm and blame, and just this idea of this biblical hate where you are justified in hating this person no matter how they appear to you. It's always a trick. They are trying to get one over on you. They will kill you. And it's just such an interesting story in terms of like all these people making decisions and then watching them fight so hard to achieve a goal only to get to the end of the story and kind of still be like, but why did all of this have to happen?
Yeah.
Why? But why? Why did we do this? And why are we looking at it this way? And why are we allowing this generational trauma to be passed down again to another generation? And it is just like you're watching it and the entire time you're like, but why allow this? Why do this? I mean, there's kind of a Dr. Manhattan feeling to it of like some level of inevitability. This is going to happen no matter what. So as long as I'm doing it, I can control it. But like at the same time, it's just so striking as far as the storytelling where like you have these characters where you meet them and, you know, you're like, wow, this person is a lot. And the more you get to know them, you're like, she kind of drives me crazy. I don't know how I feel about her. And then by the end, they're your favorite character because they have grown so terrifically over the course of the show and have experienced such levels of trauma that
I noticed that even in the first few episodes, because I got to admit that first episode, I hated the lead.
Aaron. He's a pain in the ass.
But then when they showed him a little older in like boot camp, it's like, okay, he's calmed a little.
He's getting
He was
closer.
the most obnoxious character.
Oh, and Aaron is one of those characters that's really tough because everything is based around him and his decisions and how other people try to either help or protect him and the fallout from those things, which again, once you get to the end, you're just like, God, why? Why did any of this have to happen? Why did anything like this have to happen? And so it is, even like the very last shot of the show, you're just like, and here we go again. And even after all of this, it's still the turn of the machine of war continues to run. And so it's just a really incredible show that, like, I compare it to Grave of the Fireflies, of like, this show will punch you right in the gut. And you'll be sitting there being like, wow, you're right. I didn't think about it that way. So I love Attack on Titan. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
The action sequences, though, oh shit,
pretty intense.
The ODM gear is so cool. The way that they zip around and fly around to fight these giants. I just love watching it. It's so fucking cool. So love that show. 10 out of 10 out of 10. Highly rate it. Anybody who wants something that's going to make them feel a lot of different complex feelings and not give you the answers that you're looking.
You are not wrong about that, sir.
You're going to have a lot of complex feelings about a lot of things that are going on, and it's not going to hold your hand. It's not going to tell you everything. You're going to have to kind of figure stuff out for yourself, and it does a great job of showing, not telling, so that you never feel like, oh, I don't understand what's going on. No, you definitely feel like you have a handle on what's going on, and that's just part of the horror as it evolves and breaks, and you're just like, the amount of times you're like, but why? But why? Why would you do this? And you say that to so many characters. Why? Why would you do this? What possible rationale can you have? And then you learn their rationale, and you're like, I disagree with you, but I understand why, at least. At least now I understand, even if the answer is just, you're a terrible person. So, I love Attack on Titan. Nice. 10 out of 10 out of 10. I wanted to talk a little bit about Worlds Beyond Number.
Okay.
So we've talked, or rather, I guess I should say I've talked on this show about Dimension 20.
Yes.
And Brennan Lee Mulligan, the man who I have a desperate man writer, author crush on, because he is just fucking genius. So he and a bunch of his friends have a D&D show that is all audio.
Okay.
So it's called Worlds Beyond Number, and it's just a audio D&D show. So there's still roles and everything, but you have these 4 players who are all expert D&D players.
Is that something we can get like a podcast?
It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube.
What's the name of it again?
Worlds Beyond Number.
Worlds Beyond Number.
But it's fucking great. The prelude you listen to is one of those things where, like, you get 20 minutes in and all of the characters are crying. Like, we've gotten 20 minutes into the prelude of the show, not even the first chapter of the show, and already the characters are having mental and emotional breakdowns because the storytelling is so intense and well done. Show? Yeah. It's a great show. I would highly recommend it to anybody who likes D&D. Same with Cloudward Ho, which is Dimension 20's current season. Cloudward Ho is just fun. It's just a ton and a half of fun. It's steampunk. It's stupid nonsense. And it has that wonderful quality that I love to see in D&D live plays, but especially, which is great in Dimension 20, which is that Brennan takes a long time to set up something that is supposed to take weeks to pay off, and one of the players just happens to solve the riddle.
Oh, that's
the first chance that they get. Worlds Beyond Number is absolutely stellar. It's Brennan Lee Mulligan, Erika Ishii, Lou Wilson, and Abria Iyengar, who are just 4 of the best storytellers I've ever heard to
I am excited.
play the game. So it's just absolutely stellar. It's well done, and Cloudward Ho is just fucking phenomenal. I'm gonna throw out a weird one because it's been a weird few weeks.
Okay. I'm intrigued by this.
So this just dropped on Disney Plus. It's the live recording of Frozen on the West End in London. And so it's the live action Frozen show that was on Broadway, now on the West End. It's interesting because we saw, because we were New Yorkers at the time.
Yes, you were.
We saw Frozen on Broadway before the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Really?
On the one hand, just because Frozen is so well written, it reminds you just how well written Frozen is as a piece. But then on the other hand, you have all of this stage magic that is absolutely stellar. Like, it's so good. Every time you're just like, how? But how did they do that? I was watching the whole time, and how did they do that? I don't understand how they did that. The live recording, I would say, isn't as good as the Broadway show, but it's still worth watching because it doesn't have some of the American sensibilities in there, which is to say, it's horny as hell. It's really fucking horny. Like, Anna grabs Hans's dick. Like, horny.
What?
They talk about how muscular Kristoff is. Like, horny.
And Disney okayed this?
Yes.
Jesus.
And it is at one point, Anna sticks Hans's face in her cleavage, like, while they're singing. And it, like, I'm telling you, this is horny like no other version you've seen of Frozen. It starts with, like, precocious stuff, like little Anna talking about how big her butt is, and this becomes a revolving joke around Olaf and his big butt. And so there's a lot of talk about butts.
Oh my god.
And there's a lot of talk about, you have that classic anime moment where Anna falls on Hans. And her cleavage is just out. I just turned to Kelly, and I'm just like, the cleave is popping. Like,
oh my God.
It is the horniest version of this story you've ever seen. And on top of it, Samantha Barks, who plays Elsa, is really fucking good. So they did change up some elements of the show, which was interesting. Mostly, they got rid of the opening number, which I was a little annoyed by because it's the Ice Harvesters. And it's a really beautiful number. I remember sitting there in the Broadway production and being like, see, white people, you don't need to steal from other cultures to have something spiritual. You have it yourself. You just got to dig deep and do it in Nordic. They got rid of that, and I was like, "That's kind of a bummer," because they needed time to do.
I love that opening.
They needed time to do other things, and so they switch around the placement of a few things that happen in the story. We don't meet the guy who runs the trader shop until the second act of the story instead of the beginning of the story. But there is a bunch of naked people in the sauna, and they all come out in towels talking about how naked they are. So nobody's naked. But they sing a lot about being naked and how great it is and how everybody should just stay there and get naked with them. And it's just like, it's really fascinating. There are some faults in it. The stage magic, like I said, is almost as good as it was on Broadway. There's a few choices that they make in terms of how they present things that are different. Some of them are better. It has this bridge that I don't know how this thing exists in the wings of this theater, because it feels like it takes up a city block. And you're just like, where are you keeping that? And people are climbing all over it and doing stuff on it. So it's not just like a pretty face, it's like a practical element of the show. Also have some down stuff. The guy who plays Hans is, I think, fittingly rat looking. That whole like the Rodentian male look that people talk about all the time, very in that class.
Really?
Just like, he has kind of this like rodenty face. For Hans, he has like these big teeth, and he has like that shovel face, like real wide, real flat. And it's just like, I don't like this guy immediately when I see him. Like, I made fun of him until Kelly was like, you gotta stop. And I was like, okay, all right.
See, I don't like that, because that's the whole point of the movie is you don't know that he's bad. You think he's this beautiful prince, and then he turns out to be bad.
The moment I saw his face, I was like, even if I didn't know this story, I'd be like, you don't trust this guy. This guy looks like a schmuck.
That's kind of disappointing.
This guy looks like he's out for a quick buck. But the one thing that I did find like so frustrating is that they got rid of two elements that were full of stage magic. One is that at one point, Elsa and Hans have a full-on fight.
Really?
Where Elsa is throwing magic and Hans has all of his swordsmen, and there's like these big stalagmites of ice coming out of the floor, and you're just like, how are they doing this? They got rid of that for the West End production, so that's not on Disney Plus. And the way that they do the way that they do Anna freezing at the end of the movie, spoilers for a movie that's 13 years old and every 13-year-old has seen.
Yeah.
In the Broadway production, she had this costume change that was done on the stage, where she went from her regular clothes to this all white outfit, and her hair was all white and her makeup was all white, and they did it by having this Greek chorus acting as this storm that was kind of moving around, and she would be hidden in them, and they would do the change outs as part of that. And they got rid of that. And I was like, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
They changed how they did it. It was still cool, but it was definitely kind of a bummer. So it's an interesting one because I want to be supportive of this art. If we're talking about remakes and taking Disney properties that already exist and doing them in quote-unquote live action, I would much rather see something like this done, even with some of its issues and problems in terms of the adaptative ideas within it, than something like Snow White, which was just a fucking tragedy. Than something like Lilo and Stitch, where every time I hear anything about it, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, it makes
no
sense.
This fucking sucks, man.
It makes no sense.
So, like, anybody else, I don't know if it's online anywhere. I'm sure you can find it. Disney likes to hide their best pieces. They're like, oh, nobody watched this because we only put it on ABC on one Saturday. So nobody watched it that day. So I guess nobody cares about it. And it's like, dude, you fucking idiots. If you put it somewhere where people could fucking find it, it would get numbers. So if you go out there and you can find the stage version of Beauty and the Beast, which has Josh Groban and her, the musician, her. And if you can find, similarly, the Little Mermaid, which had... I can never pronounce her name, but the lead actress from the original Moana, who played Moana, plays Ariel.
Okay.
And it's great. It's capital G great. Both of those productions are great. And it's partially because of those elements that you don't get in movies anymore, where, like, in movies it's supposed to be like, wow, look at this CGI. I'm totally fooled. And on stage, you're like, no, but really, how did you just do that? Because I have been watching this whole time, and you were standing right there. And there's nothing else here that should make that happen. So how? How did you do that?
It's Chris Angel type shit, man.
Exactly. So Disney, not that you want my advice, because I would tell you to shutter your studio for 2 years and just try again after that. Take 2 years and learn.
I do think these large companies listen to our show, though, and I'll explain that to you in mine later. So maybe Disney's listening.
Maybe. But if you do want to do live action presentations of anything, fucking do Broadway productions on Disney Plus. Between Hamilton and Lion King and other things, you've got some serious proof of concepts.
Wasn't the Hamilton numbers were massive?
Hamilton numbers were the biggest thing of the entire summer in 2020.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, like, I mean, for a variety of reasons.
For a lot of reasons, yeah.
But, like, nevertheless, it was the biggest number that year. So I think that if you're going to remake stuff that everybody already knows and has deep attachment to, do this, where you basically turned Frozen into an operetta. You added a bunch of other songs in there that weren't in the original, and used that to build out all the characterizations. So do that. Yeah. If you've got to remake stuff, do that. The last thing that I wanted to touch on was we watched a few trailers as you were getting here.
Yes.
So I wanted to start out with The Toxic Avenger, which just dropped their trailer Friday.
It's been made for a few years now.
It's been sitting around because that image of Elijah Wood has been out there for a while.
I want to say it's been like 3 to 4 years. I think it was a COVID thing, but then they had a hard time finding distribution.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to release the unrated version, which, for those of you who don't know Troma, with Toxic Avenger, Tromeo and Juliet, Poultrygeist, they make schlocky B movies, but they're super violent.
Yeah.
Over-the-top violent.
Violent. Like, hilariously, stupidly over-the-top violent.
Yeah.
So, this looks really fun. This is probably one of the better roles I've seen the Dink take in a little while.
I didn't know how they would translate him being a dwarf. I mean, the original Toxic Avenger was like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
I kind of like it.
I do too.
I think it works. I think it really works for this medium and this mentality. And I'll tell you this. If we're comparing this to other bloody hero stories like The Boys, this is so much more interesting to me because it's not just What if Superman was a bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
What if Wonder Woman was this? What if Aquaman was this? What if Aquaman had a deep sexual relationship with an octopus?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this what we're doing?
It's so stupid.
Why is this what we're doing when
Well,
you
and
could be doing this? The idea of like an actual hero doing actual quote-unquote hero work,
Yeah.
and the resulting effect that has on society, and both locally and
Yeah.
wide.
But then make it tongue-in-cheek and schlocky.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what the fun is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that they're releasing it unrated in the theaters. Like,
That's amazing. I am so excited for that. Like,
Yeah.
I might get a ticket just to support that.
Yeah, I agree
Because
with
I
you.
want to see more of that,
Yeah.
of unrated movies coming out in theaters, because I think that's way more interesting. And there's so many movies where you watch the theater cut and you're like, oh, that's all right. And then you watch the unrated cut and you're like, this is way better. This is
Deadpool 2.
way better.
Deadpool 2 to me was the
Yeah.
most recent one, probably, where it's
Yeah.
like, damn, the unrated version's
Is
freaking
way
great.
better. It's
Way
like not
better.
even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close. The jokes are funnier. The jokes are tighter. They make more sense.
And look, what I don't understand with some of these movies that they do make them cut out like some of the violence. It's like, dude, after you have certain amounts of violence, a little extra is not going to be.
What's going to happen? You already have a guy getting his arm torn off.
Exactly.
What's going to happen?
Exactly.
You know, it's like, oh, well, we can't have that twice. That's going to be too graphic. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, because the one time it was fine as long as it only happened
Exactly.
once. What is this mentality?
Oh, the children.
I know. The problem is that you're not policing your own children, and you're expecting the movie studios to police them for you.
Republicans? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't want to...
no. Yep.
Yeah.
I can also think of a handful of Democrats that I know who fall into that camp
Well,
too.
yeah, that too.
Anyway, that was one of the interesting things about going up state, was for the first time ever, we got to all complain about politics, because nobody's happy about politics
including
right
my
now.
brothers who are hardcore.
Yeah.
No,
Nobody's
no one
happy.
No one's happy with what's going on right now. So, yay.
I got to do that thing where I got to talk to my grandfather-in-law about how terrible Democratic leadership is.
Yeah.
And he was very happy. And I was like, yeah, Joe Biden might be one of the worst presidents of my lifetime. Just full on. How is anything that's happening now not in part his fault?
Yeah.
He could have done so much and he did nothing. I still have to pay student loans, remember?
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Speaking of conflict, did you watch the trailer for Eddington? This is going to be the big A24 movie of this year. This is Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal and Emma Stone.
I've seen stills of it,
Yeah.
but I did not watch the trailer.
I watched the trailer. It's exactly what it sounds and looks like.
Okay.
It's, you have the milquetoast Democrat who wants to do things but doesn't actually. He just is a lot of talk.
Okay.
And he's all about wagging his finger at people who don't follow the quote-unquote rules. And then you have the small-town gun-happy sheriff who is like, you're ruining freedom for everybody, and we all got to come together, and I'm going to record myself shooting this man, because why wouldn't I? And it's just like, okay, all right.
Okay.
All right. I see what we're doing. Nobody's shocked by this. This is, it's the Republicans turn into a cult and the Democrats turn into losers who won't stop the cult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So it's just life. So it's just everyday life. Okay, cool. The last one I wanted to hit on, because I don't know how I feel about it, is Spaceballs 2.
I don't have any faith whatsoever.
Yeah.
And mainly because I did end up watching History of the World Part 2, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Mel Brooks is still alive.
This was what I was going to say. This movie doesn't come out until 27.
He's going to be, I think he'll be 98, 99. He'll
Something.
be up there.
He'll be right at the
up
top line.
But it's definitely jumped the shark. Like, you don't have Joan Rivers anymore. You don't have John Candy anymore.
No.
It's like you don't have.
There's
some
all
of
this
these
talk of
important
who are they
pieces.
going to get to replace John Candy. I'm like, you don't get anybody to replace
No.
John Candy. You have a joke about how Mork, was it Mork? Morph?
Barf.
How Barf is, right, because your dog best friend. Yeah. Something sad that touches us all about, like, Barf has a little urn on, Dash Rendar or whatever. I don't fucking remember any of the names on his space Winnebago. But, like, this is the real issue.
Yeah.
I don't think Mel Brooks ever cared about Star Wars. I don't think he ever found it worth making fun of in the first place.
Yeah.
I think that this has always been a studio thing where the studio said, do a Star Wars. And he was like, okay, I guess. I don't really care, but okay. And as a result, I never found Spaceballs to ever really be that funny. There's good sight gags, but like Mel Brooks shouldn't be reduced to the level of Family Guy comedy.
Yeah.
Of like, we're combing the desert, we ain't found shit. Like, that's funny, but it's also funny out of context.
Yeah.
Which I think tells you everything you need to know, is that it doesn't matter what happens in the movie, because if the bit is funny out of context, it's going to be funny regardless.
Yeah.
And if it's funny in context, it's rare, and you end up with like the stupid, like, oh, their lightsabers flop over because they're supposed to be dicks.
Well, and that's the problem to me. I agree with you in rethinking about this movie after watching the trailer. The only part that now I would probably find funny, because when I saw it in the theater, I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I found it all funny because I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now I look at it, and the Rick Moranis dark helmet character is genius.
He's the
he's
best
amazing.
part. He's the
he
best
truly
part.
is the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
Take him out of it, the rest is middling.
It's very middling.
I will give it to the best sight gag in the movie, which is John Hurt at the end redoing the alien, where he falls over and it comes down and does the dance.
Here we
That's
go
funny
again.
as shit.
Yeah.
That's funny as shit. But the rest of it, it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah. And like, Bill Pullman was always so boring to me in that movie.
I think that was his first movie, too.
It was just so, like, it wasn't even dry. It was boring. There was no comedy life in there. And I felt the same way about, I don't remember the gold Roxy the Robot standoff version, but
that was the Joan Rivers character.
Yeah, but like, that's my point. Yeah. I didn't find any of it good.
No.
All of it was very middle ground at best. The thing that I found funniest about the trailer was that they used the crawl more than Star Wars has to make fun of Star Wars and how many Star Wars have come out. And every one of those Star Wars after the prequel didn't have a crawl. I guess the sequels did.
Yeah.
But like, any of the many spin-offs that they cite, none of those had a crawl.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because here we get to see exactly why Star Wars should use a crawl and how effective it can be at storytelling.
My only hope is that they lay into, since this is the Schwartz Awakens, so it's obviously like playing off the last three.
Yeah.
If they lean into how bad the last three were, but I don't think they will.
I worry that it's going to end up like, you remember how Scary Movie got like 4 or 5 deep, and then they were like, bad. We don't know what to do anymore, so we're just going to make Meet the Spartans, or a superhero movie, or any of these other garbage movies that were just supposed to be like, why wouldn't Mystique make her butt really big? And it's like, this is not funny. This isn't comedy. This isn't good writing. This isn't even gags. This is just like but did you ever think about this? And I think that that's what this is going to be, because they cite Marvel and they cite DC and they cite Harry Potter and they, all of these different stories, even the Beatles come up in this. And it's just like, I really think that this is going to be Mel Brooks taking modern Hollywood to task over their current systems.
But that's the problem, is Mel Brooks hasn't really done anything good on film. I'm not talking about the live versions of The Producers of Young Frankenstein, which I haven't seen, but I hear are spectacular.
I saw The Young Frankenstein. It's really fucking good.
It's what I mean, it's based off one of the greatest movies ever. But like, if you really think about it, since his like earlier movies, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and all that, because I'll be honest, I didn't even really like Robin Hood, Prince, or Men in Tights. I
agree. I don't think Prince in Tights is good, or Men in Tights is good.
I think he is, without a doubt, a director of his time, because you cannot make those movies he made.
No.
Because the jokes would not play with, I'm using quotations, modern audiences. Because unless you go into it knowing what you're going in to see, like if you show somebody Blazing Saddles and don't tell them what it is, they'll think it's the most racist thing in the world, when you're like, no, it's making fun of racism, but there is not that sensibility anymore.
Well, it's the fact that, like, if you showed the bean scene to a 12-year-old, they'd find it funny for farting reasons, but they wouldn't understand the context that makes it funny.
Exactly. Or like the badges scene.
Yeah.
We don't need badges, and then where are the white women at, and this Ku Klux Klan. They wouldn't know that shit.
No.
And it's like, and that's unfortunately kind of his genre, you know what I mean?
So I don't have any faith in this, mainly because I didn't like Spaceballs to begin with. So hearing that there's a Spaceballs 2, there was a lot of like, oh my god, it's happening. And I'm also just like, first off, I don't care. Second off, I'm not interested. Third, nothing here sells me on this as an idea. I really hope Mel Brooks makes it to 2027.
I hope so too.
I really, really hope that this movie comes out, because that means Mel Brooks made it to 2027.
And I mean, you got to give that man credit. In his interviews, not only is he still funny as hell.
Oh, he's still sharp.
He's sharp as hell.
He's a whip.
He's still my favorite comedians in Car Getting Coffee, him and Carl Reiner. It is, if you have never seen that show, watch that show. It is gold. Well, it is hysterical.
It's something as simple as Spaceballs, the sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And that's hilarious. That's way funnier than almost any of the bits in Spaceballs, than Pizza the Hut and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Way funnier than all that.
I agree.
So, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I said before that was my last one, but I did forget I had one more. Did you see the new Dracula trailer?
Yes.
With Christoph Waltz?
Yes.
This looks interesting. I'm not sure that it's going to work.
Yeah.
It has Banshee from First Class as Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
It looks interesting, though. And you can do a lot worse than Christoph Waltz and that French guy who does the movies, who made this one, whose name is, he did Fifth Element.
I
can't
think of his name.
All I can think is Jean-Luc Godard, and it's like, it's not Godard. It's Luc Besson.
Luc Besson, thank you.
But anyway, Luc Besson movies, I have like a standing 60-40 split on. I like more of them than I don't like. I thought that, what's it called? The City of a Thousand Planets. I thought that was a way better movie than people give it credit for. I actually kind of really like that movie. And I'll admit,
The Fifth Element has grown on me over the years. Yeah. At first, I didn't necessarily like it, but it's grown on me.
You got to get past the Chris Tucker of it all.
Yeah, and that was huge.
It's huge.
But
it's
then
an
also,
undertaking.
it was at the peak of Bruce Willis being an action hero, and then he was like kind of a romantic lead type thing. And it was a little weird.
Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah.
And these other
so
weird,
it was. Yeah, I agree. But the thing I'm nervous about is we've already got the art house Dracula with the Nosferatu.
It just came out last year.
So it's like, I want somebody to lean into kind of like they did with Last Voyage of the Demeter, and more of like a horror Dracula.
Yeah. What I'm interested here is that this brings up the plot point in Castlevania, which is that the reason for Dracula's horror is because of what was done to his wife.
Yes.
And so, like, that's something that we don't explore in most... Like, we didn't get into why Orlok did what he did in Nosferatu. He was just a monster.
He was just a monster.
So this idea of exploring this passionate man who has the ability to live forever and no qualms about killing and has plenty of enemies, I'm intrigued by that. And having Christoph Waltz as the Van Helsing, also interesting to me. So,
and it's been a while since I've seen him in something.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. I can't even remember the last thing I saw him in.
I honestly don't know. I always just go back to Django when I think of Christoph Waltz.
No, that wasn't his... Because he did a Terry Gilliam movie.
He did.
That I actually saw.
I want to say Less Than Zero. It's not Less Than Zero. It's The Zero Theorem.
Zero Theorem, yes.
That was it.
Now, and I saw the Zero Theorem, and I thought it was good.
I've seen clips.
It was very Terry Gilliam.
I've never seen the whole thing, so I've only seen clips, but I've seen like Matt Damon in it, and it's like, this is interesting. It's like a B-list Brazil.
Yes.
It's not as good as Brazil.
That's a good description.
But it has a lot of the same elements as Brazil. Yeah. The last one I saw was The Man Who Killed Don Quixote with Adam Driver, which is a great movie, especially if you've had a few to kind of push you over the edge. Just some weird fucking visuals in that movie where you're just like, what the fuck is happening?
So I want to do a quick shout out before I get started on, I had a friend tell me he saw the Phoenician Scheme.
Okay.
Which is the new
Wes Anderson
movie. Said it is spectacular.
Yeah.
And is one of the best. Cannot wait for it to come out streaming.
Excited. I'm so excited to see it.
Because I'm not going to see it in the theaters, unfortunately. That's the downside.
I don't have time. I don't have time to go to the theater.
So as soon as it's out streaming, I look forward to seeing that. I want to do a shout out to the other night. I saw a clip on YouTube, so I decided to rewatch a movie I've not seen in a long time, which was the first Kingsman, the Golden Circle. Or not the Golden Circle, the Secret Service.
Yes.
I forgot how fun that movie was.
It's a really good movie.
And it was a really good, like, Sam Jackson role, too.
I was about to say, the secret sauce in that movie is Sam Jackson.
Yeah. And I forget, like, how fun, just flat out fun it is. I really enjoyed that.
There's something about the fact that he's this villain that has this plan to save the world, and he can't stand violence.
Yeah.
And so he has to enact violence as part of his plan. and he can't stand looking at violence. It's not that, like, he can't stand the idea of violence. He's fine with the idea of violence. It's the idea of having to watch violence.
He reminded me of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like his mannerisms, the way he spoke. And I'm like, that's fucking Elon Musk right there. Like, that's it. And this is years before any of that stuff happened.
This was 2014. Yeah. So at this point, Elon was still being compared favorably to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
No, and Elon would have a ballerina and cut off her legs and put knives on.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%. That's an Elon move.
And it made me think that I really think this whole franchise, the 3 movies in the Kingsman franchise, are very underrated. Like, you don't ever really hear them spoken of.
I agree. I just wish Golden Circle was better.
Yeah, it's got its moments. Like, I love the Elton John part of Golden Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's great in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hit or miss.
It's like, the problem is that you get into this, like, the stuff with Julianne Moore doesn't hold as well, where she's doing, like, this 1950s housewife, I'm just trying to save America kind of act. And it's fine, but it doesn't really
Same
work
thing with
for me.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
I rewatched that too, and I'm like,
Everything with the American division, I don't think works. I want it to work, and I just don't think it does. Pedro's still great. Like, after watching that, it's like, even the Jeff Bridges, he's doing that muffled talk he does now, like he did in R.I.P.D. And he's like, rah, rah, rah. And I didn't really like that, but man, Pedro's still fucking awesome in that movie. I like Pedro's weapons more than I liked Pedro in that movie. I like that Pedro's a double agent.
Yes.
So he's built as this hero, and we slowly begin to realize he's not. I thought that was great. I just didn't necessarily find that by the end of the movie, like, in the milieu of Pedro Pascal, I think this is closer to Wonder Woman 84 than it is Mandalorian.
I want to make it that bad, but it's close.
Yeah.
I would put it above Wonder Woman 84, but you're right. It's not in his top echelon.
It's not the one that I would be like, oh yeah, go out and see this.
But like in a movie that has some negativity, he's one of the brighter.
And there's some really great fight scenes in that movie.
Very great fight scenes.
I really like that they bring back one of the possible agents.
Yes.
From the first movie as one of the villains. There's some really good moves in this. I just wish that some of the strings came together better. The stuff with Colin Firth coming back, I was just like, we don't need to do this.
Yeah.
He should be dead. He should stay dead. Replace him with another character.
And that always made me feel weird. Like, I don't know if they just really wanted Eggsy to have the father figure.
Yeah.
But he was so confident, and Merlin was kind of the father figure.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it would have made Merlin's death more
meaningful.
Impactful if he wasn't there.
Well, and especially because now we don't know what death means in this universe.
Exactly.
He got shot in the fucking eye.
Yeah.
And he lived?
I mean, he's just Kingpin.
That's what I'm saying. Is like at least I guess in this there's all kinds of shenanigans.
At least they had an explanation in this of how he survived, where they didn't have to have a Kingpin.
He just shows up.
Yeah.
There's no
there's no scar. There's nothing wrong.
No, nothing. There's oh my god, I still can't believe Marvel.
I know. It's frustrating. So the main thing I want to talk about. This is where I'm touching on people in large offices listening to our show. I downloaded the upgrade to Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh.
And I started playing it.
Yeah.
And Al, this game is everything you wanted.
Oh, yeah?
The first time every issue you had with this game has pretty much been fixed.
Can you use a fan to blow a sail? Because you couldn't before.
I don't know if I tried that yet.
That was one of the ones that blew my mind. Was I tried to make a boat and put a fan blowing into the sail, and it wouldn't work.
I don't think I tried that.
If you turn the fan around and have it blow backwards, then you go forwards. But if you put the fan blowing into the sail, it doesn't do anything. And I was like, what are we doing?
I'm going to have to try that. But graphically, flawless.
Yeah.
Frame rate wise, silky, smooth, solid 60 frames per second. I mean, it is quite literally a different game. I'm grateful I still own the original, so I didn't have to pay $80 to get this.
Right, yeah.
And I'm also a member of the, which I would recommend if anyone's going to switch to and you want to do these upgrades. If you're an online member, upgrade to the expansion. Because not only do you get the GameCube games, which they're going to start putting out more, you get the expansion and upgrade for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild for free.
Oh, yeah.
Because normally it's $10.
Yeah.
So it's just a little extra to add to it, and you get it for free. So I've been getting back into that, which I finished that game it's got to be over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't really touched it, and I haven't touched Breath of the Wild. I mean, I haven't had a chance to play a lot of video games. I have been playing more Mario Kart, but I got into Tears of the Kingdom again, and it's quite literally a different game.
It is. I will say this. For all of my, I don't even want to say complaints. It's nitpicks.
Yeah.
It's just that there's so many nitpicks that it kind of takes the grade down in my book.
Well, that's why I really would be interested if you guys do get a Switch 2 for you to replay this.
Yeah.
Because it's something else.
Well, like, I was just replaying it at my in-laws' house. And it's one of those things where, like, it's just a great game to just pick up and play for a few hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't need to have any ideas of, like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this and I want to try this. It's like, you just go and you see where life takes you. Mm-hmm. And I do really love it for that because it is really enjoyable. They did fix a lot of the issues like the weapon degrading system and all these other things that were huge problems in the original. I just wish that they would have the level of expansion that they had for Breath of the Wild. Because there were some really great DLC elements for Breath of the Wild. The one that I'm thinking of most is when you could just summon a motorcycle.
Oh, the motorcycle's fucking awesome.
I know, you can make a motorcycle.
Yes.
I don't want to make a motorcycle, okay? I don't want to futz around with it or have to deal with it bumping into things and then not being able to go backwards or any of these other things. Yeah. I want my motorcycle that I could just summon whenever I needed it.
That motorcycle is badass,
It's fucking dope as shit.
It is really fucking good.
And getting it is such a challenge that you feel great once you have it.
Yes.
And it's just like, I wish you have that capability, Nintendo. You can do it. And with Tears of the Kingdom, it felt like it was such an undertaking that you were like, okay, thank God that's done. We're not going to do anything else with that for a while because I can't bear to look at it. And it's like, well, last time you could bear to look at it afterwards, and there were some really cool things that came out of that.
Yeah.
So
they did do a couple cool upgrades. One of them is if you have the Nintendo app, which has been mostly useless for the majority, they have like audio recordings from some of the that's kind of neat where you find these moments on the map and then you pick it up on your phone and they'll give you like a recording in their words of like what happened in that situation.
See, I think that could have use to me. I just, when I hear it on face value without experiencing it, I'm like, cool.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's you're right. It's not a DLC.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering if it's like, I know Tears of the Kingdom has been out now for 3 years, I believe it has.
Somehow.
I think it's been 3 years.
I think it's 2, because I think it came out in 23.
Years. Yeah, it came out when we went to... It came out, I remember, right before we went to Disney with the kids. So it was 2 years ago. I know it's been out for 2 years, but I'm kind of curious because who knows what's going on with the Zelda franchise. Yeah. If another one's coming, when it's coming. I'm wondering if it's not too late for them to add a DLC for this.
I'm telling you,
I mean,
Nintendo,
2 years isn't bad.
You really should, because not for nothing, it does still need some tinkering, right? I'm still annoyed that when you use the what's the one that allows you to go up through things?
I know what you're talking about.
The permeation one.
Yeah.
I'm still annoyed that you have to sit through that cutscene of Link swimming regardless of how thick the surface that you're trying to permeate is. So you're just going through like a little something, and you still have to do the whole cutscene. You're like, really? It's taking this much load power for me to just phase through this one floorboard? Really? And I guess so, because it happens every time.
That's the name of it, phase.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten to phase yet. I've played like 4 hours of it, and I've just been running around on the top. I haven't even gotten to the bottom yet.
You're still doing the...
But I've been taking my time because I've been like looking at everything and like...
It's an absolutely stellarly gorgeous game.
I'm curious if that has been reduced because the load times going into like it is greatly
That's what I'm really hoping for.
It's greatly reduced.
Is that those elements are hugely reduced. Yeah. Because if that was just a load thing, I would normally say that's not excusable in 2023. But this is the Switch. Yeah. So all those rules go right out the window. We didn't even know we were playing an SD for the entire period that we were playing that fucking game.
Yeah, no, not even at all.
So like, you know, If that is the case, great. As long as it's addressed. If I'm still having to do that every time I don't want to have to like climb or build something. I just want to phase up through the bottom of one of the Bokoblins towers. I don't want to have to sit through an animation every single time I do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But kind of going off of, I agree, like the thing I've been enjoying about the Switch too, and what I always loved about the Switch is the fact that a lot of their games you can just kind of plug in and do a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the games I'm looking forward to with that is there was a new Nintendo Direct.
Yes, there was.
For Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yes.
And holy shit, does that game look fucking awesome.
They gave us some new lore.
Dude.
And I am of two minds on this.
I don't necessarily love the Pauline part.
I don't mind the Pauline part.
I don't love it. I don't mind it, but I don't love it.
With an asterisk.
Yeah.
Here's the asterisk. And this is what I told Kelly. There's two ways that this is going to go. This is Donkey Kong Sr., i.e. Cranky Kong. In which case, you're doing great. Keep going. I'm all in.
Because in the
I'm
Direct, he comes across Cranky Kong.
So this is my thing. If it's Donkey Jr., we have problems. Because while I know you don't care about the canon, other people do care about the canon. And this was one of those things that when I was growing up was always such a cool element, was that it wasn't Peach that got kidnapped by Donkey Kong. It was Pauline. And it wasn't Donkey Kong. It was Cranky. So if you go that direction, that's amazing. You're doing great. Keep going, kid. But if you're just like, oh, it's Donkey Kong and we're throwing Pauline in there too, I'm like, no. We're not retconning here. This isn't retcon. I know you don't care about canon, but what you're doing now is retconning.
Well, I think they're retconning to a new canon because as of
It's still retconning.
As of what I heard is at the end of the game, she gets returned to her people in a home world.
Yeah.
And there's a rumor going around. Once again, it's a rumor that by Donkey Kong returning her, the people are so grateful they named their city New Donk City. And that is from...
That's why.
Mario, the last Mario game.
Yeah.
So that, because she's the mayor of New Donk City.
Yeah. But that didn't matter at the time. Now.
No, but
now we're futzing with the parts.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think they're playing off of a new lore.
I think that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm just like...
But just, I mean, getting off of the story, the content of this game looks ridiculous.
Yes. I will agree
it
with that.
looks amazing. And there's so much shit and like the different things you could do by using like making art projects.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable.
This again is me being real nitpicky, and I'll fully admit to that. You keep telling us that we're underground and we're trying to get back to the surface. You can see the fucking sky in so many worlds. And I'm just like, listen, Journey to the Center of the Earth, I get it, man. I get it. But like, this is like Ironheart saying, I'm going to make something iconic. And then making an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have to get back to the surface. Well, if only I could see the sky. I can. But this isn't the surface.
I mean, a lot of that is like freaking...
oh, I know.
The Wrath of Khan, when they show the cave and
Yeah.
the sun's rising in the cave, it's like, okay.
Well, and you get it in fucking Mario Odyssey. Has
Yeah.
that happen all the fucking time. So it's like, again, I'm getting crazy nitpicky.
Yeah, you are.
But I'm also the guy that was sitting here being like, why aren't they Star Children in the Mario movie? This is not canon. This is bullshit. And I kind of did feel a little redeemed when Pauline jumped out of that egg. I was like, see, she's a Star Child.
Yeah.
You remember. You know what Star Children are.
But yeah, so I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play this game. It's the 17th.
I want a new Donkey Kong game. I'm still not over... beyond any of the other things I've said, I'm still not over what they did to my boy's face. I'm still not really happy with that. They ruined his face.
It's grown on me.
It hasn't for me.
It's grown on me.
I'm glad. Because it is one of those things where... I mean, here's the thing. Donkey Kong was my guy. I was not a Mario guy. I was a Donkey Kong guy. And the fact that they had Donkey Kong perfect during the N64 era in terms of his look, in terms of his voice, in terms of his actions, perfect. And since then, they've just been tinkering. We're going to change his eyes a little bit. We're going to change his voice. We're going to make it so he can talk. We're going to do this. Anybody who grew up in the 90s, or I guess anybody who didn't grow up in the 90s, look up the Donkey Kong animated show. It is a nightmare. And there are 2 songs per episode. It is a fucking nightmare. Look up Donkey Kong Crystal Coconut. It's a fucking nightmare. Okay, this is where they're going with this line. This is that direction. So I want to go back to him being a monkey.
I think I'm getting used to him because I use him as my racer in the new Mario Kart game.
I do too.
That's the look. No, in the new one.
Oh, okay.
Mario Kart World, and this is the look he has in that. So I've gotten used to it.
See, that was
he's my racer.
That was when I got upset. Was when I heard his voice in Mario Kart 8, and I was like, "What did you do? He was fine.
Yeah.
You didn't need to do this, and now you've ruined his voice, and now this is a continuation of things."
So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm pessimistic on this one, but I also don't have any evidence. So
I am planning on playing it very quickly after it comes out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. And then did you see the crazy thing about the underground subway in London where they had pictures up of upcoming games for the Switch 2, and they had the Metroid Prime 4, and it said now out, and it wasn't out.
Yeah.
Or out now, it said.
Yeah.
But now people are thinking, well, does that mean it's going to be out soon? Mm-hmm. If there's an out now sign that accidentally got put up.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Those...
Well, there was 3 or 4 massive game posters.
Even so, because between living in New York and being in the advertising community for work, that shit shouldn't happen.
Well, I bet somebody got fired.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that it never should have gotten that far.
Yeah.
The posters never should have been printed. That's the part that gets
me. But that's
me.
the thing, is that makes me wonder,
Yeah.
Is this like a late summer game?
Maybe.
And I know there's hints of a direct in July, which makes you wonder, are they going to be like, hey, this is our September game?
Yeah. Maybe.
Because a lot of studios have gone on that starting to drop. I think Odyssey was a September game.
I think that was a September. It was definitely a fall game. Yeah. It was a fall drop
so
of some
maybe we get to play Metroid for Pro.
Maybe.
All right, so now we're on to our big review of the movie Sinners.
Yes. What a movie.
God damn, did I love this fucking movie. Well, here's the problem I'm going to have now, though.
Okay.
They have been releasing so much shit that we've had to watch, and now the last 2 movies I've seen is Killers and Sinners. How the fuck am I going to be able to rebound off of this under whatever dog shit comes out?
I know. We're going to have to sit through fucking Ironheart or goddamn Thunderbolts or something, and we're going to just be like, why?
What makes me mad is this is on par to me with a movie like Get Out.
Yeah.
And Get Out got all this talk and all this critical... And honestly, other than some of the nerdier populations, there hasn't been a lot of talk about Sinners.
The talk that I saw was, I saw that there was a lot of talk in the springtime when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
But it was mostly centered around certain things Haley Steinfeld says during
the
course of the film.
That's true.
so
Mrs. Josh Allen, by the way.
Yeah. So the popularity there, I wonder if that's going to come up in training camp.
Oh, that's gotta come up.
He hasn't seen his coworkers since this movie came out. Yeah. So I just wonder how that's gonna go.
I know True Grit's great, but she was fucking fantastic.
She's great in every movie.
She really is, but this was different. It was different for her, and man, she was fucking good.
Yeah, she's not a child anymore.
No, not even a little bit.
Not a child.
Not even a little bit.
That little 14-year-old girl in True Grit, she grew up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Big time.
So for those who have not seen it, Sinners is pretty much it's kind of an offshoot of From Dusk Till Dawn.
I was also about to say it's basically the black version of From Dusk Till Dawn.
No, this is an homage to It's
so close to the plot of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, to prove that, I worked with somebody who had never seen From Dusk Till Dawn, but she saw Sinners and said, it had a very Tarantino-like...
Yeah.
And I'm like... Because he wrote fucking From Dusk Till Dawn.
He wrote this movie
that's right.
25 years ago.
Dude. But it's Michael B. Jordan plays 2 brothers. He plays twins. And they were...
Stack.
So this is in the 30s. No, 20s.
35.
35. It was 35.
It might be the best name for 2 characters. Smoke and Stack. So fucking good.
So they went up to Chicago and they were gangsters.
Yeah.
But then they stole a bunch of money and came back down to their home.
They stole a bunch of money and goods.
Oh, yeah, all the liquor.
And they come back to Mississippi
to open a speakeasy.
Because they realize we are still treated like shit in the North.
Yeah.
So we might as well do what we're going to do
like shit.
in our own neighborhood because we won't have to deal with this competition.
So they get back and they want to open a speakeasy, and they have a cousin who is a musician even though he's fighting against his father, who's a preacher and doesn't want him because he thinks music's like the devil.
Music is he's footloose.
Exactly.
He's a footloose preacher.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it's very John Lithgow. And so, it starts off as this like really dramatic thing where they're kind of touching base with characters they've interacted with.
Oh, I love the first act of this movie.
Oh, it's so good. But like even the first act, how it melded into the opening night of the Speakeasy with like the Asian couple. Yeah. How everyone's like a family. They're just walking around interacting, and it was so wonderful.
It was so good. And it has both those elements of like the twins weirdly kind of have both a George Bailey and Don Corleone aspect to them.
Which Stack is the Don Corleone and Smoke's the one that died.
No, backwards.
Oh yeah, so Stack is the one who's like freewheeling.
Yeah.
Kind of like, and Smoke is
all business.
Very much so.
The way that we're introduced to who Smoke and Stack are is that their cousin Sammy is like, is it true that you killed your dad? And Stack is like, no, we didn't kill our dad. Smoke killed our dad.
Yeah.
I was unconscious, and he was already buried by the time I woke up.
Yeah.
That's who Smoke is.
Yeah.
Smoke sees his brother get beaten and kills his dad.
Yes.
And so
fucking awesome.
And so, but like Michael B. Jordan's performance in this.
Oh.
It reminds me, I think the best encapsulation of it is that opening shot of the two of them. Where
sitting against the car.
Where Stack is rolling a cigarette.
Yes.
Hands it to Smoke. Smoke lights the cigarette and then hands it back to Stack, who continues to smoke the cigarette. That might be one of the best shots I've seen in the modern era.
And that is, I love how it plays at the end where Smoke doesn't have Stack anymore. He's trying to roll a cigarette and he just can't do it. And it was like, oh my fucking God, that was such a beautiful connection.
God. And just like everything about his performance. I love the scene where they find the rattlesnake in the back of the truck. And it's just like the way that these two brothers look at this situation. And then the toss of the knife is just so good. Yeah. And how that knife comes back at the end of the movie.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's so fucking
It's
good.
fucking great. No, I love the first act of this movie because it is all character.
Very much so.
You have that initial moment where we see Sammy coming back to his father's parish, and then the day before. Yeah. And you're like, oh, some shit happened.
And that's what I love is that's one of the major things that differentiates this from Dusk Till Dawn is they're both got the character introduction in the beginning, but this one's has much more heart, and it's not as like kind of freewheeling as the first. As from Dusk Till Dawn.
It's like in Dusk Till Dawn we are kind of introduced to the brothers and given to like them because of how they interact with the woman at the hotel.
Yes.
And how they interact with Harvey Keitel.
Yes.
And so those are like the moments where we're like, well, these guys are assholes, but I kind of like them.
Yeah.
When Smoke goes back to Annie, his ex-wife, and goes to his daughter's grave.
Oh my God.
You're like, I don't care what he does in the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
I want to see where this man goes.
Yeah.
Because holy shit.
And I am so happy they gave him a gladiator-esque send-off at the end.
So beautiful.
Because that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, this is Gladiator.
Yeah.
Where he sees his family in the afterworld and like goes to them. I'm like, holy shit, this is so fucking good.
And like on top of that, you have all this stuff going on with Smoke, who is like he's the heavy. He's the guy that goes around. He hires a girl to watch his truck, and he's like, I'll give you 10 cents. And she's like, deal. And he's like, no deal. You have to barter.
Yes.
I have more than that. You need to be smarter than that and barter me higher. And so they barter up to 20. And he's like, good. There you go.
Yeah.
Sit in this truck, honk the horn if anybody looks at it for longer than a few seconds. He goes into a store. Horn starts going. He steps out. He shoots 2 guys in the leg. And they turn around. They're like, oh, Smoke, we didn't know it was your stuff. And she's like, bullshit. I told them it was your stuff.
But I love it. The second guy, he waited until he was walking away, then shot him in the leg. I'm like, oh, that's fucking up. No, he shot him in the ass.
He shot the first guy in the ass. And then he shot the second guy in the knee.
First guy in the ass, second guy in the knee.
Yeah. But it's so you have all this heaviness.
Yeah.
And yet you also see that he's this pillar of the community.
Yeah.
Where he's lifting everybody around him up in spite of the deeds that he does. Kind of like that story that Kelly's grandfather was telling me about the gangster in Saratoga. And then on the flip side, you have Stack and Sammy going around meeting people, kind of building the talent pool.
Yes.
And that's where we get Haley Steinfeld comes in because she was I guess we find out that she is not related to Smoke and Stack, but kind of like tangentially.
Kind of like a stepsister type thing.
Her mom took care of them during
Yes.
their youth at various times. They do have that line that I get a little anxious when anybody's like, well, I'm an eighth black. I'm like, I don't know if we need to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
So when Haley Steinfeld's like, yeah, well, my grandfather was half black. I'm like, I understand why this is coming up. I also feel like we don't need to go into all that. Yeah. Because it's just like, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
But I could see a character of that age saying that.
And in that time.
So that's the thing.
And in that time period. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is happening. They got a location.
And we meet Delroy Lindo, who is a blues musician they want to get to play, and
a drunk.
I loved when he hands him the Irish beer and the reaction he had to drinking it.
Where he smells it and then he tastes it.
That I mean, it made me taste that beer.
Yeah.
I was like, that is just the pure joy he felt with it.
He was so good in this role.
He was really
because he
fucking
didn't
good.
need to be great.
No,
but he was great.
He was great.
Even stupid scenes like when he gets put in charge of the door.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there being like, they're like, where's Cornbread? And he's like, he must be building you an outhouse because dude went out to take a piss like 2 hours ago. And it's just like, this is great.
It's so great.
This is great. And it's the kind of flame that you need in the story. Yes. And it also shows us what kind of a man Stack is. Where Stack is like, you have this conversation between him and... was it Delta Slim was the name of the character I want to say for Delroy Lindo? So
Delta Slim, yep.
You have him and Slim are talking and negotiating for Slim to play at this new club that they're opening.
Yeah.
And Stack is like, I'll give you $20 every week. And Slim's like, you're going to be open next week? How do I know you're going to be open next week?
I have this place that I get $10.
Yeah. I've been working at Messengers for 10 years.
Yeah.
And Messengers are going to be open 10 years after you're closed.
Exactly.
And so, but it's like
Which is also great foreshadowing to what really happens.
But it's just a great little moment between these characters. And then you introduce, I almost called her Pauline. It's not Pauline. It's like Paulette or something.
Paulette.
And Haley Steinfeld. And just like the...
Oh, no, Mary.
Mary is Haley Steinfeld.
That's Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, Haley Steinfeld.
Sammy has a girl that comes after him.
Yes. Paulette.
Paulette or something. Anyway.
Pearline.
I knew it was something like that. But anyway, I love that scene at the train station, not just because we get Haley Steinfeld with some truly dirty talk coming out of her mouth.
But it was like, it was so organic.
Even Michael B. Jordan seems like he chokes in the moment when she says it. Where he's like, why is she... Hang on, wait a minute.
And the good thing is you can believe it because on the drive to the station, he's teaching Sammy about giving oral sex to a woman.
Yeah.
So when she says that, you're like, oh, she's telling the truth, man, because you're just talking about how well you do it.
Yeah. So, but that was... I just like everything once the club opens is so great because there's so much joy in life.
Yes.
And then we meet the vampires and you're
But what I love with that, too, is they waited...
Yeah.
At first, I thought they were waiting too long to introduce the vampires, but then I'm like, no, wait a second. This was the right...
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know a lot of backstory on the vampires. I mean, you see the lead vampire, Remick, going to this farmhouse of these two farmers, and ends up killing them and making them part of his...
And we get that group of Native Americans
that
show up to the house, and we're like, okay, so we know...
They were hunting.
As long as we wait long enough... help will come.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So they introduce these Native Americans that are supposed to help. We'll get back to that. But I love the vampires in this movie because it is such like, it's one of those great stories where you get to the end and you're kind of like, I mean, was he right? Was Remick right? He might have been right.
Yeah.
He might have had the right idea.
And I loved Remick.
Yeah.
I liked these vampires.
Yeah.
Even though you're rooting against them, you're like, they sing beautifully.
Yeah.
And their musical number was amazing.
The Irish number is crazy.
It's unbelievable.
That's so good, where you have all these vampires of various races dancing around to this Irish clan
There were
song.
two numbers. There was that number and there was Sammy's number.
Yeah.
Where you get to see all of these ghosts of people from past and future.
And this was where I did laugh at that scene for one moment. When
the future
guitarist shows up, I was like, okay, all right. But they brought me back when they brought in the turntable and the dancers. I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I see what you're doing.
Yes.
That moment was ridiculous. But now,
Yes.
in the context of everything else going on, and it gives us this great idea that we don't see in other vampire stories. There's two elements of this that we don't see in other vampire stories that I think work so well that I would like to see them added to the vampire mythology moving forward. One, this idea of vampires not just being lonely, but looking for a way to connect with the people they no longer have around.
Yes.
So that's why they're going out and doing the things that they're doing, is because they see an opportunity to reconnect with the families that they've lost over the years of being on this planet. And that draw is just so great. Plus, they think that they're doing real moral good.
Yes.
They think that they're helping all of these poor souls that are just put upon and hated by their neighbors by making them monsters.
Yeah.
They're like, they already see you as monsters.
And
You might as well be
helped
monsters.
with that transition is they don't really show too much of the attack by the vampires.
No.
Like when they attack everyone that runs out, you don't see any of that.
No, you don't see any of that. You just see everybody leave the club and you're like, well, I hope that worked out. And then you see them all running around in a circle and you're like, it did not work out.
It did not work out at all.
Or like when Haley Steinfeld is turned. Because like when you first meet her, it's in the middle of the day. You're like, she's not a vampire. And she loves these guys. Like she loves these guys maybe a little too much. And like to the point where they're like, you're going to get in trouble if you keep doing this. People will kill you for doing this. And they'll kill us, and then they'll kill you. So when she goes out to talk to the vampires, I'm like, don't do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. And she turns around, she's walking back, and I'm like, don't turn your back on them. And immediately you see Remick just lift off the ground. And it's such a great, quick shot.
So awesome.
And you don't see her get bit.
Nope.
You don't see anything else. It's just that one moment you're like, she's dead. She's dead. But this brings up the second idea that I love, which is she comes back in. And I love how they use invitation.
Yes.
That's so
important. I was
important.
just thinking that was amazing.
And it's never used anymore.
No.
It's not a part of stories.
Nope.
Like, can you imagine 30 Days of Night if there was an invitation
God,
clause?
it'd
be an entirely different movie.
That'd be different.
But, like, I love the way that they use the invitation in this. And I love that they have this element where once you become a vampire, you get the memories of all the other vampires.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that before, and so I'm looking and I'm watching Haley Steinfeld turning on these people she has talked about loving so greatly for the last 20 minutes. You're like, why? Is she just driven? Can she just not help herself? No. It's that now she understands their mentality.
Yes.
And she's like, they're right. This is better.
Yeah.
This is a better way to solve the problem.
It's a big hive mind.
And I really love that. I thought that was so well done. And it's not a hive mind like we see hive minds in other things, because all the characters still have their own sentience.
Exactly.
They all have their own power and capability within the hive mind. It's not like they fully lose their own personality and now they just have to do whatever the hive mind wants. No.
Because she still loves Stack.
Yeah.
She just thinks turning him is the best thing
is the
to
best
do for him.
option for both of them. Because
which kind of ends up being, but
as Remick says, these people already think you're monsters.
Yeah.
This just allows you to fight for yourself. We're giving you fellowship. We're giving you all those things that you say you want, but you just have to sacrifice your humanity to do it. And at the end of the movie, you're kind of like, was he right? He might have been right. I'm not saying that he's definitely right, but he has a point. He has some kind of conversation that we have to have. But it's one of those tragic stories where as you're meeting all these characters in the first act and you're falling in love with all of them, you're like, these guys are all going to die.
Yeah, they're all going to die.
Every single person we meet is going to die.
Yeah.
And, kind of, a little bit. And it had that terrible, I've seen this a few times in movies now. The character who sacrifices themselves and ultimately their sacrifice mean nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Which was Delroy Lindo.
It doesn't
change
change anything.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, the one in Kong Skull Island is the one that always stands out to me, where you have the one white guy in the crew.
Yeah.
And he doesn't talk a lot. And he's like, I don't have a family to go back to.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of this problem right now. And he pulls a bunch of pins off of his vest. And then the monster picks him up and throws him.
Yeah.
It's just like, what
I
the
still
fuck
love
was
that scene.
that?
I love that scene.
So anyway, I really love this movie.
And we got to talk about the ending. So
Yes.
this is a big spoiler, everyone.
Yes, from here on out, it's major spoilers.
Yeah. So Stack and Mary turn, and they are the only two vampires that survive.
Yeah.
Because Smoke cannot kill Stack, and he makes him promise, and that's what else I love. He makes him promise not to bother Sammy.
Yeah.
Because Sammy is the only human that lives.
Yeah.
And at the very end of the movie, and this part still blew me away, they got Buddy Guy, who's one of the greatest blues musicians ever, to play old Sammy.
Yeah.
And he's playing in a club, and Stack and Mary come in.
In full 90s gear.
Full 90s gear.
Stack is wearing a Cosby sweater.
Yeah, very much so. And Mary's got like the tricked out hair and all
Yeah.
that. And they say, you're at the end of your life. I promised Smoke I wasn't going to bother you. Do you want me to?
Want in?
And when Smoke says no, or when
Sammy says
no, he
walks
goes
away.
with it. He
Yeah.
gives him a hug and says, and it's like, that is so amazing.
We'll see you later, little Sammy.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's such a great
Dude,
scene.
that ending was spectacular.
And the moment when Stack puts a bunch of money on the table and he has the brass knuckle that
Yes.
just says Stack that looked like the knife that they had
Yep.
at the beginning. Like, it's so tight. It's
Dude.
so well done. Even moments where, like, you feel like we've reached a climax and a conclusion. So, like, the movie ends with everybody dying.
Yes.
By the way, the Asian couple's death is... Oh my God.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
That was just like, listen, I know, Grace, I know. Put your dress out.
Yeah.
You're on fire. I know, but
Well,
don't.
just hearing her like
Yeah.
still talking and
Yeah.
screaming, it's like,
Oh my God. And when she breaks invitation,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, here we go. It's on now.
Come on in, motherfuckers, and everyone's like, what
What are you doing? But like, I just love how this movie approaches some of these ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and going back to From Dusk Till Dawn, you never feel like the vampires are in the right.
No,
right?
not at all.
You
They're
feel like
bad
they're
guys. They're the bad guys.
You feel like they're a danger.
Yes. Even
Even Selma Hayek, you're like, don't.
She's just
trust
really
her.
hot, but she's a bad
Yeah.
guy.
Here, you kind of wonder if Remick is right a few times in the movie.
Yeah.
There's that great scene where there's a guy who gets passed out drunk, and
Yes.
they throw him out because they think he's dead. And they're like, we didn't even see him get bit. And they just throw him out because it's like, we can't have dead bodies on the premises because they'll turn into vamps and then we got problems. He's not dead. He's just skunk drunk.
Yeah.
And so he tries to get back in, and as he's trying to get back in, he gets bit. And we see him turn, and he just suddenly has this smile on his face like, yeah, this is better.
Yeah.
This is better for everybody. And then when you get to the end of the movie, and we've seen all these people we care about die because of these decisions, and Remick is basically telling us, like, you fucking idiot. The clan sold you this so that they could come and shoot it up.
Yeah.
They're coming today to shoot the whole place up. And I came to give you an opportunity to fight back against them. And this is how you repay me?
Yeah.
I even stole their son, the son of the head of the clan. I stole him. I turned him into a vampire. And even now, this is how you repay me? And so Smoke he's ready. When the clan shows up, he's ready. And God, that
was an awesome shootout.
Oh.
Holy shit.
but like leading into that, you're like, so where is this going? Because I feel like the movie is kind of largely wrapped up, but there's just this one hanging Chad, and so the clan shows up, and when he pulls out the sniper rifle, baby bear,
Dude, that's amazing.
But just him walking with the Tommy was also just a great shot.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's
But
such
yeah,
a
you're right.
wonderful
Remick
moment.
is right, because he's like, listen, I will make you immortal because you have all this hate in the world towards
Everybody
you,
here already
and now
hates
you
you.
can fight back.
Yeah, I'm not changing anything.
Yeah.
They already hate you. This won't make them hate you any less or more. They will hate you the exact same that they hate you now.
I love it.
All you can do is fight back. If you come with me, we're a community. And the idea that Remick isn't just some Irish guy. He's ancient.
Yeah.
He's been around a while.
A very long time.
Like some of the things he says about wanting to see his ancestors and the people that he's left behind, you get this idea that he was like a Viking.
Yeah.
Like this guy's been around a long time. And just like the characterization of that character, to turn him from this guy where you don't trust him from the moment he flops into the scene
absolutely.
on the clan
And
members.
he's burning because
he's a vampire.
The Indians are changing.
And from that moment on, you're like, similar to what I was saying about Prince Hans, you're like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's anything he could do to make me trust him. And then you're listening to him and you watch him dance, and you watch him sing, and you listen to him, and you're like, he's not right, but he's kind of right.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Killmonger at the end of Black Panther.
Yes.
Where you're like, he's not right, but he's kind of right.
He's kind of right.
There's an element to what he's saying that is true.
Which, it's funny because Killmonger had a lot of the similar intentions.
Yeah.
Handing out weapons so these people who have been marginalized can fight back, and that's exactly what Remick wants to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love this fucking movie so much.
This was another A+. This is 2 weeks in a row of A++.
Yeah.
Like, no notes. I don't have any notes.
No.
What would my note be? It's too much like From Dusk Till Dawn. Okay, so you took a B grade movie and you made it better.
But that's what I was gonna say. Is it's better.
It's better than Dusk Till Dawn.
It is
Because A, it takes place in the 30s, so immediately it's much cooler in every way. And it's one of the things that I loved about this movie is remembering, like, The Great Gatsby takes place like 12 or 13 years before this.
Yeah.
And it's just that difference of what New York looks like in 1925 versus what Mississippi looks like in 1935.
Yeah.
And remembering all, like all the history that you've learned and the Great Depression, all those other things. It's like, it really categorizes it in a really, really good way. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Way more interesting than Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh yeah.
Way more interesting.
And it's like, something that you just touched on, but we also didn't really touch on too much is I love the family aspect of this movie with this community, and you mentioned that earlier, but you see it again in the speakeasy when Stack and Smoke's girl give a guy drinks who barely has any money, and they're like, he's part of our community and he worked hard for that.
Yeah.
And Smoke's mad because he wants to make money, but Stack's like, it's kind of not why we're here.
Yeah. Well, and like, I love when that builds where it's like Stack is like, the point of this wasn't to make money.
Yes.
The point of this was to give our people a community place where they could feel safe and protected and free to do whatever they wanted. And then like 3 scenes later, Smoke calls Stack over and he's like, this is the number that we took out of Chicago. This is the losses that we have taken tonight.
2 months they would be
we'd be out of money.
Out of money.
And it's just like this tug and pull back and forth of like, what do they want? Mm-hmm. Is it more important to be sustainable and therefore exclusionary than it is to be so fully embracing of everybody that you can't make money?
Yeah. and it makes sense then when Stack is changed, he assimilates easy into that environment because that is the community he was trying to bring.
He found a community that fully embraces who he is.
Yes.
That doesn't say you shouldn't be with this white woman.
Yes.
That doesn't ask what this white woman is doing here in the first place. They don't care about that.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care 2 shits about that.
Yep.
To them, as long as you're a vampire, you're one of us, and we don't really fucking care about it otherwise. And just like one thing, I guess it's like a minor complaint. But, like, I love Annie's character. I thought Annie as a character was fucking spectacular. She's so good.
And to think that the only thing I've really seen her in is that goddamn awful Loki. Well, she was in Deadpool and Wolverine.
She was in Deadpool and Wolverine, and she was also in the H.P. Lovecraft Country. She was Ruby in Lovecraft Country. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's a very complicated show, and definitely one where you're just like, what's happening? What's going on? But it's fucking spectacular. It's one of those shows where it gives you a history lesson in real life where you're like, wait, that thing that they talked about, that really happened? Oh, yeah. That was a very real thing that very much really happened.
Yeah. And I do like how they altered the cliche in this movie where she says to Smoke, if I get bit, make sure that you kill me. And instead of him not doing it, he fucking does it.
He does it.
Because he loves her so much.
And Stack and Mary are horrified.
Yeah.
Stack and Mary are like, what are you doing?
Yes.
You can't kill her. No. Now she can't be part of everything that we're building. We built this for both of you. We wanted both of you to be part of this. And now she's gone. And it's just...
Dude.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good.
And all leading up to that gladiator moment at the end, which...
Oh, my God.
Really, like, it'll put tears in your eyes. Oh, my God.
Dude.
Just her holding the baby and breastfeeding it while all of that is happening.
Yeah.
Is just such a spectacular moment.
And how she tells him to put the cigarette out so it doesn't get on the baby, even though they're spirits.
You don't get any smoke on this baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ugh.
So fucking
it's so good.
And a little snippet I forgot to add in that I absolutely adored is they didn't bite the necks. They bit you on your back.
Anywhere you got
Anywhere
bit.
they can hide so you can get back in without showing any
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Such a great little snitch.
No, it's not until Cornbread gets shot in the face that we kind of realize anything's wrong with him. Like, there's an idea that something's definitely wrong. But, like, he doesn't have any outward look.
Well, didn't we, before that, when Mary...
Yeah.
So she seduces Stack, and while they're having sex, he pulls her dress down, and you can see the bite, and then she bites him.
Yeah.
So that's how you're like, oh,
I love that scene, too, where you have this gambling debate that's going on, where this guy is using loaded dice and gets caught with a razor. He slashes up a guy's face, and you just have a room of men kicking him.
Yeah.
Like, they put him on the ground and they just start kicking him.
Yeah.
And, like, you know how when you're putting up a circus tent and you have all the people hammering in sync? It's like that, but with kicking. And so they, Smoke sends Sammy to go get Stack because he needs to know what's going on in the gambling hall. And Sammy walks in on them having sex. And he's like, oh, I'm not doing this. And he walks back to Smoke and he's like, they're having nookie. I'm not going in there. And Smoke's like, okay, fine, I'll go in.
Yeah.
And they go in. They're not having sex.
No, she's biting the shit out of his neck.
They may have been at one point.
Yeah, she's ripping his throat out is what she's doing.
No longer.
Yeah.
And again, going back to just the effects, we complain all the time about overuse of CGI. The complete believability of Michael B. Jordan holding himself while he dies.
Yeah.
And you never doubt it. You never doubt it for a second.
Not even a little bit.
And, like, there's only really one moment where I got confused who was who. And I think it was kind of on purpose. It's towards the end of the movie. They do that white hat, black hat thing where Smoke is wearing a white wife beater, Stack is wearing a black vest, and they're fighting, and that's really the only way you can tell them apart. So there were a few moments where I was like, wait, who's who?
Yeah.
What's going on? But, like, that scene, again, of them fighting each other is
unbelievable.
It's fucking perfect. Like, you never at any moment are like, oh, I see it. I see the line. I see the break.
I want to check the budget of this movie because that was another thing because you look at this movie and you're like, this movie looked spectacular.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie was amazing, from the costumes to the set designs.
Sets. Oh my god,
dude! The town, the house that what's her face is in, Smoke's woman. Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it's
unbelievable.
It's absolutely stellar, and you feel like it's all real sets.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like one of those things where it's like, oh, we built the storefront and then we had a big, green screen.
Yeah,
I
mean, it was a $90 million movie.
Yeah.
But once again, that's what half of an episode of Acolyte.
At least, yeah.
Was this movie.
Most episodes of Acolyte are more than twice that amount.
Yeah.
And it's Godzilla -1.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you have a good story, and it's not, the CGI is not being used to prop up the story. The CGI is being used to tell an effective story. It's been going to Godzilla -1. That story is about PTSD.
Yes.
That story is not just about a giant lizard walking all over things. But you look at the 2015 Godzilla, and that movie didn't have either of those things.
No.
It didn't have any characterizations that were interesting.
Pile of shit.
And it didn't have any monster attacks that were interesting. Yeah. And so you kind of sit there and you're like, so this had this enormous budget and all this time and all these people and all this thought that went into it. And ultimately, the coolest thing about it is watching this halo drop next to Godzilla, because it's incredible to see Godzilla's head rise out of the clouds when you see these guys skydiving, and there's a great shot for that.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no other great moment in that entire movie.
And I'm starting to see a comparison between the video game industry and the movie industry, because the video game industry quite literally has gotten to the point where a lot of these AAA games are okay.
Yeah.
And it's mainly the indies that are amazing.
The indie games are the really good ones.
And that's what's happening with the film industry. All the big budget movies are kind of shit.
No.
But these smaller, low budget are fucking phenomenal.
You don't hear about how you have to go out and play Final Fantasy 18.
Yes.
You do have to go out and play Hollow Knight.
Yep.
And
exactly.
It's very similar in terms of its style and scope, but radically different in terms of what you get out of it. Final Fantasy got into this grind of like, oh, this fight takes you in actual real life 24 hours to complete. No.
Yeah.
Then you don't get my money. You don't get my money.
No,
you
exactly.
certainly don't get my time. Like, and so many games have that kind of feeling. Even my beloved Spider-Man Insomniac games have that feeling of, okay, we were on a roll here, and now we're doing a stealth mission as Mary Jane, and it's not that it's a Mary Jane mission, it's that it's an incredibly slow stealth mission. That's the problem. If it was a Mary Jane mission that was well written and interesting and made you feel like things were clipping along, great. But it doesn't feel that way. And it's in part because of the gameplay, and it's in part because of the writing. And you get that a lot with other movies. Sinners doesn't have that problem because there's no dead weight on this
not even a
entire
little
thing.
bit.
You're just the entire time, like, to the degree where that scene we were talking about with Stack in a Cosby sweater takes place in the middle of the credits.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to go looking for it because I was so staggered by this movie that I just sat through the credits.
And the music was spectacular.
And it just,
so I wanted to just hear if there was
exactly.
any...
And then there's another musical number at the very, 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 very end of the credits.
Yeah.
If you wait to the end of the credits, you hear Sammy sing This Little Light of Mine, which is what the parishioners were all singing in the church when he shows up. So it's just like, this movie fucking has everything. It doesn't have this gajillion-dollar budget. It has a reasonable budget for what you're trying to do. You're going to have a lot of CGI because you have Michael B. Jordan playing 2 roles. But that's where all the CGI goes. I imagine some of the towns were CGI because otherwise they would have a lot of stuff in the background. Like I don't think
same with the train station.
Exactly. I imagine they cut stuff out of the backgrounds more than they added stuff in, which is what I want CGI to be. I want CGI to be for amplifying and intensifying. I don't want CGI to be the thing.
Exactly.
You know, you have to be like Muppet quality great for CGI to be the reason I'm watching a thing. Like when you watch a Muppet movie, you're not watching it for the humans, you're watching it for the Muppets. And I feel like Disney seems to have this idea where it's like, if our CGI is good enough, that's going to be the reason people come to see the movie.
Yeah.
No. Never going to happen. Never going to be a thing. Always the wrong decision.
Yes.
The CGI should be there to amplify everything and pick it all up and make it that much more intense. It should not be where everything hangs on. And if the CGI is just no good, then you spent gajillions of dollars on turning a lightsaber red instead of blue when a drop of blood falls onto the kyber crystal. No, wait, not onto the kyber crystal, onto the lens holding the kyber crystal. And somehow that's enough. That's all it takes, baby bear. Did you know Star Wars sucks now?
Why do you gotta bring that up?
Because they did it first.
I know.
They hurt me. They don't get to be let off the hook for hurting me.
But yeah, I love this movie. I hope it gets recognition when it comes to award season.
This better be one of those movies that, like, it came out in April and it gets nominated for a gajillion awards.
It's got to.
Like, Michael B. Jordan should be nominated. There's a part of me that thinks Haley Steinfeld should be nominated.
Oh, and she should get a supporting actress nom. Absolutely.
Like, everybody in this movie is so fucking good. And, like, it has great moments that are loud and great moments that are quiet. When Grace goes to find her husband, Beau, and he's just like, I got the car started. Let's go home and see Lisa. And there's a million vampires around. You're like, oh. And then the Remick starts speaking in Cantonese to her. Yeah. And you're just like, oh. And he has some filthy things to say as well. Yeah. And you're just like, this is we've entered a whole new realm. Yeah. Like, we were just arguing about cornbread and letting him in and everything, and now we have this. Yeah. And
but
this
I
is
love
a real
that
problem.
There was that tension moment of, are they going to go fucking get the daughter? Yeah. And it's like, shit. Yeah. And as a parent, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, she's like, we can't wait for sunrise anymore. Yeah. We can't just sit here and wait. There's other people out there that are going to get hurt. And a lot of them are related to us in one way or another.
Dude, that's what made her badass moment so badass. Yeah. And she's like, fuck it. I don't give a shit.
I don't care what any of you say.
I'm going out swinging.
We're doing this right now. We don't have time to wait. This is happening now. Yeah. We don't have time to be like, let's come up with a plan. Let's do this. But, like, even small things. Like how Smoke says to Stack when he's trying to figure out if he's a vampire or not. And he's like, we were together when we were kids. We were together in those trenches in Germany. We were together in Chicago. And we're together now. I need you to tell me who you are. And, like, we hear that he was in the army. But just him saying we were together in those trenches in Germany, you immediately understand what that means. Yeah. For these two men specifically. Yeah. And the potency of hearing those words, of just being like, oh, he didn't just go to war. They didn't just go to war. They were on the front lines. Yeah. They were the fodder. And they survived all that. And they came home and they were treated like shit when they came home. So they went to Chicago and they were treated like shit in Chicago. So they came back home and they're just like, this is as good as it's going to get. And then somebody comes along and says, doesn't have to be. It could be better. Man, it's a good movie.
It's such a good fucking movie. I know. I've only watched it once. I'm definitely gonna watch it.
I
again.
literally just finished it like an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
Finished the show because I've been so busy.
Oh, Jesus.
I've been like just crazy
so
busy.
it's really fresh in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that's a testament of this movie. Is I've seen it. I watched it almost a week ago, and it's still fresh in my brain. Yeah. Because I can't stop thinking about how good it was.
It's so fucking good. Yeah. And really, like, takes the Dusk Till Dawn premise and busts it wide open.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, just simple things. Like, I guess you could say that it's a complaint that they hint that it's some kind of Haitian demon, more like a body snatcher than a vampire. And I think the way Annie phrases it is that it snatches your soul out and a new soul is put in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then she's like, no, these are vampires.
These are vampires, yeah.
And I was like, oh. Okay.
And I love that it was her that corrected herself. Yeah. She's like, no, fuck that. I was wrong.
These are vampires.
These are fucking vampires.
And I kind of like the initial idea of this being like a body snatcher type thing and not just vampires, but then switching so fully over to vampires while still using the vampire mythology and the elements that aren't used in vampire mythology. So good.
Because I do, and I know we didn't really touch on this, but they play her off as almost like a voodoo priestess.
Yeah.
Where she's like a healer.
She's a magic person. Yeah.
And then it's like for her to be like, she's like the Van Helsing now. She's like, I know this situation. Yeah. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we got to fucking do.
Well, the scene where she takes Smoke aside and says, you have to kill me if I get bit, is because she's been rolling runes for a few minutes and they keep giving her bad answers.
Yep.
And so she says, okay, well, fuck. I guess that's the way it's going to go.
I also took it as the sweet thing of she doesn't want to live forever because she does want to see her baby again.
That moment where she says, I don't want to be here forever because I got people in the afterlife waiting for me, and you do too.
Yes.
Oh.
They both are so desperate to see their baby again. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is so good.
The moment where Smoke is in her house and he's like, is this real magic? And she's like, yeah, it's real magic. And he's like, have you figured out the magic to bring our baby back? Dude.
Oh my God.
Great movie.
Oh, that was Nerdpod Generations episode 164, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. I loved it. I love when we can talk about positive things.
I love having a positive mentality about stuff.
Yes.
Because we can still get negative about things. We still have concerns over stuff.
Like we just said, unfortunately, most of the media out there in the world nowadays is dog shit.
It's trash.
So
like even something like Murderbot, which I am excited to review.
Yes, we are going to be talking about that soon.
Even something like that where it has elements that I like in terms of the way that it approaches storytelling, it didn't leave me with this kind of excitement.
No, not even
that was a chore. That was a task that had to be done.
Yes.
This is like, I wish I could watch this movie again for the first time.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, once again, Nerdpod Generations 164, please go to nerdpodgen.com. I will have a link up there soon to this episode, so it'll take you right to Spotify where you'll be able to listen to the episode. Also, we have links, once again, to Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and whatnot. Not whatnot, the app. I know I'm going to say that another time.
That's going to be a problem.
I'm going to have to stop saying whatnot.
That's an actual problem.
That is an actual because I watch so many YouTubers that do whatnot, so I have it in my brain.
Well, because like we remember the '90s, like not like in terms of like watching old episodes of Full House, though that is how I remember the '90s in a lot of ways. But like in terms of like I remember watching the Cubs play during the home run a-thon in 1998. I remember the 90s.
Yes.
We've been using that word for all kinds of things.
For a lot of things.
It's been a long time. It's been the lexicon for a long time.
But now, if you go to listen or watch on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, set up notifications so you can get advance notice whenever we do put a new episode up. And if you do go to the website, you're going to see not only our pictures, but you're going to see this awesome artwork. Al, who does our artwork and music?
Our art is by Kortney Howell. Our music is by Brendan Williams and James Connolly. I'm Alfred Judson.
I'm a very tired Steve Taylor. That took a lot out of me.
Yeah, between the heat and the heat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's good times.
So, till next week, friends and enemies, we probably won't be talking about vampires, but you never know.
You never know.
It could happen.
Hey, maybe the vampire apocalypse hits.
Hey, you know, that could solve a lot of problems.
That could solve a lot of problems.
Or at least move us on to new ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a good week, friends and enemies.